Good morning and welcome back to Hobby Time on Gaming with ADHD. I am out in my garden today, not to show you how to plant some plants, but I want to show you how to make an easy, space-saving paint rack for your hobby table. Now, in my case, I have a very small area in which to dedicate to my hobby supplies. So I wanted to come up with a solution that would give me a lot of paint storage, but also not take up a large footprint. Now, when my wife sees this, she'll probably disagree about not having a lot of hobby space, but in this case, the particular desk that I am using at the time does not have a very large footprint. So, with that being said, this is something that you can do with a minimal amount of tools. In my case, I technically only needed, I needed 5, but you can actually get some help and not need as many. So, let's start off by talking about the different parts that you'll need, and then we'll talk about what you need to do to assemble it. So, first off, what you're going to need is a 2-foot by 4-foot hobby panel. This is basically plywood, and you can get this at any big box home store, Home Depot, Lowe's, or whatever is similar in your area. They are sold in 2-foot by 4-foot sections, and will cost generally less than $10. You can get them out of MDF or plywood or a variety of different materials. I just went with a nice plywood. Now, in my case, I use my table saw and I cut this in a little bit less than half. This is actually the larger piece. I've already started building on the smaller section. Because I didn't want a giant 4-foot piece of plywood sticking up on the wall and in our living room and annoying my wife. So I kept mine a little less than 2 feet high. Now, the next piece you're going to want is a 1x2. This is actually a piece of plywood. What I actually used and what you'll see on the final product is just like a 1x2 board, like a regular 2x4. Obviously, it's thinner. Okay, so you're going to want a piece of that. In this case, I had a piece that was a little less than 2 feet, and so that's what I used. Next, you're going to want about 2 or 3 10-foot pieces of 1-inch PVC pipe. Now, the 1-inch is the interior dimension, okay? Not from outside to outside, but inside to inside. That's very important because, for me, the paints that I use are either the Reaper Master Series paints, the Army Painter war paints, or the Vallejo color line, either the model or the game color. And all of those paints will fit right inside the 1-inch pipe with a little bit of room to spare, and very comfortably. So the pipe, you're going to want to start by cutting this down into appropriate lengths. Obviously, one giant tube of paint is not going to be very useful. So, in my case, I cut them down to 1 3/4 inches. I used my miter saw, so that's going to be one of the first tools. If you don't have one, I recommend that you talk to friends, talk to family, talk to people at the game store, church, school, whatever it is. Talk to your community. A lot of times, you know people who already have these tools, and you're not going to have to buy them in order to use them yourself. Okay? I know in my case, a lot of times the tools end up sitting around So if somebody wants to use a tool, I have no problem, loaning it out if they need it, or come over to my place. I'll help you cut them over here. So I cut, in my case, it's going to be about 100 and just under 160 of these, which is going to give me more than enough paint storage for my needs. Now, the next piece that you're going to need is you're going to need some screws. These are 1 1/4 inch screws. Personally, I like the ones with the if I can get the camera to focus, with the star heads. I've broken many Phillips head screws, but if you get some with the Phillips head, they should be just fine. So here I've got the beginnings of my board. On the back, we'll get in close so you can see, I put 3 screws to hold the 1x2 onto the board, and this, in addition to giving me a base point to start putting the pipe on, also works great for a little shelf. So if I've got some odd-sized paint bottles, whether it's like Games Workshop paints or craft paint from like Hobby Lobby or Michaels, it gives you an extra spot to get some stuff up off your paint table and out of the way. Now, you're going to want a drill in order to assemble that. I do recommend using what's called a pilot hole. Basically, you're going to take not very narrow, but a narrow drill bit and drill a small hole into the plywood and your 1x2. That way, when you're drilling it, or when you're putting in the screw, it's not going to split the wood. Okay, so put in 3 screws, and that'll hold it, more than sufficient for what we're trying to do. Now, the last tool is a hot glue gun. Now, you'll notice I have a lot of Ryobi tools. I really like the interchangeable batteries. This is not sponsored by Ryobi in any way, although I'll let them if they want to. Call me. Anyways, so give me a second to adjust the camera, and I will show you what I do to glue all of these pipes on. I'm not going to make you watch me do it all because it's going to take a little while. So let us focus the camera in on our work area. All right. So when you're gluing this on, after you've already gotten your glue gun heated up, all you're going to do is put, if I can get the glue to come out, you're going to put a little bit of hot glue. Here, let's put that down. You're going to put a little bit of hot glue around the bottom. And then since I'm alternating the spacing on these, you're going to put a bit down one side and then another bit approximately 60 degrees off. Now this does not need to be perfect, but get in to show you just a little bit of glue on 2 60-degree points and the end. You'll then take that and put it right on your board. And I probably did that with all sorts of stuff in the way, so let's do this again. So we're going to put our glue on the base. Another piece on the 60. And another. Now, as you start getting further in, you'll want to do 3 of the 60-degree pieces. Let's get this in close. All right, there we are. So we will take that and just push it in. So that will glue each pipe to the pipes next to it, glue it to the board, and that should be sturdy enough to hold it on. So that's basically all you need to do. Just keep repeating until you've got all of your pipe in place. Another good alternative would be to put, once you're done, to put another piece of 1x2 underneath. That way it does have some structural support and not just the glue. But other than that, in this case, I'm going to go ahead and stop the camera, and I'm going to keep gluing. And then we will go back inside, and I will show you what it looks like on my hobby desk and with the final setup. So, see you in a minute. All right, welcome back, everybody. So, took me about an hour to get all of this glued on, and let me tell you, an hour, with a hot glue gun, with a giant 4 amp hour battery on it, my fingers hurt. But got it all done. Very happy with how it turned out. It actually ended up weighing a lot more than I was expecting. But it is literally sitting on the desk, leaning back towards the wall. It is not permanently mounted. If you have space, that is actually an option that you can use. Is you could actually put you could actually mount it to the wall if you want. Obviously, in my case, that's not really an option that I have in the family living room. So, with that being said, as I mentioned, this can easily fit. I'm just going to throw these in here just so you can get an idea. But this can easily fit the Reaper paints, the Vallejo paints, and the Army Painter paints. I really like the fact that I've got this shelf across the top. I can put my craft paints. This is decal set. I can put that all up. Here, we'll put the green stuff. I can put all of that up on the shelf so that it is out of the way and a little easier to keep my desk clean. Seriously, ADHD, that is one of my biggest problems, is stuff ends up in piles everywhere. Now, not saying that won't happen to the desk still, but we can obviously, delay how long that takes. So, anyways, I hope you found this useful. I hope this gave you some great ideas on what you can do with your painting supplies. If you've got any questions, comments, please put them down below. Make sure you like the video, and if you haven't, I would love it if you could subscribe to the channel. I'll be putting out more of these hobby tips, and eventually I will get to showing you the cell shading painting technique. So, thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye. Hey everybody, just a quick addendum here. So, when I was recording the video earlier and mentioned the 1x2 piece of wood, I was hoping that I could actually just show you the leftover cut from the 1x2 piece of wood that I used to make that little shelf on top of the paint rack. And I couldn't find it. Looked in the firewood pit, looked all over the place, couldn't find it. And then today I was getting ready to record my gardening blog and was moving some stuff around, and lo and behold, I found the rest of the 1x2. So yeah, just a little bit of an insight why I call this gaming with ADHD. I'm all over the place, but I hope we're having fun. Have a great day. Bye.